let's go and edit the website. And this will take us in the Elementor editor. Okay, so from here you can go exit to WordPress and voila, you are in the dashboard. Okay, so let's just go quickly to plugins to see what plugins we have here. So they have added, of course, by default, these are the plugins that are added to Elementor hosting websites. Okay, so you have Elementor Pro, obviously, and you have Elementor. Then you have activity log and image optimizer if you want to connect, if you have a plan. We're gonna maybe have a look at this at another time. All right, so we also have SiteKit by Google. This is nothing that we care much about right now. All right, so let's go and set up our homepage. Okay, we will have to do some cleaning a little bit of some things. Let's just go to pages. I'm gonna simply delete this one, trash, and you can also go in the trash and delete permanently if you want. And I'm just gonna add a new page. I'm not gonna set up anything else. I'm just gonna straight up go and work on the home page, not to waste your time. All right, so I'm gonna call this home, and it is done, published. Now we're going to go back in the backend, and Elementor hosting gives you a few steps to go through to set up your website. Okay, but we're not gonna go through this. I will not be setting up a header at this point. I know this is weird, but I like to set up my navigations after the hero section is done. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. I don't need it. Got it. You can still go here to check the checklist if you want to go through that. All right, so let's just go to page settings, and I simply want to hide the title here. And what else do we want? I think that's no, we want also to change the color of the background, and I want to change it to black, a basic black, not super black, but black. All right, and let's go to site settings because I want to remove all this information from the header and the footer. So hello theme, and turn them off, all of them. And by the way, yes, Elementor hosting comes pre-installed with the hello theme, which I highly recommend whether you're using Elementor hosting or the plugin Elementor. It's what I use all the time, unless you have a very specific case where you want to use a different theme. All right, that is done. This is what I like to do first of all the time. All right, so another thing that I want to do is to go to the layout and remove the container padding. I don't want any container padding, and that's pretty much it at this stage. All right, so let's start with our container, the main container on the page of the hero section. So I'm gonna set this to be full width and the height to be 100 VH. You can also set the color. I'm not gonna set the color right now because it's black anyway. Maybe we will have to set the color in the future, but for now that's it. So I'm gonna add a heading widget here, actually here, and let me just delete this, and I'm gonna give it this text. All right, so this is going to be an H1, and I'm gonna set this to be, okay, got it. We're not gonna set the fonts right now. We're just gonna use a font, and it is bricolage, oops, not pro, bricolage grotesque. All right, and it's going to be 500 and uppercase, and I think I'm gonna go to up to, oh sorry, let's set it to 11 rem, 11 or 10 I think, and let's set the color to some white, not super white. Okay, this is pretty good. Okay, I will also set the line height because this font has a very high or big line height, and I'm gonna say 0.8. Yeah, let me just go in the main container and also set the padding left and right to 50 and 50, and I want to also add the top padding to be 200, and let's publish. And I'm going to be adding another container here, and this container will hold our second and third text, which is the body text. And yeah, I'm just gonna duplicate this and add it in here, and I'm gonna say H2 because you can't have more than one H1. Did I say it right? doesn't sound right to me. All right, so let me just set the title here to this. And I'm going to go to style and set the alignment to left and set the width of the heading to 58 because we are going to be adding another heading here. Let me just duplicate this and let me just change the direction to be row horizontal. Okay, so this one is going to have HTML tag of P instead of H2 because this is the body text. Okay, so I'm gonna set this to inter. Let me just go to style and I'm looking for inter. So our fonts are bricolage and inter. Okay, set it to 300 weight and let's just change the size to 1.3. I think it was 1.3 in my example, and I also will have this set to default. We don't want it to be uppercase. Let me just add the actual text that we want to have here, and I'm gonna set this to custom width 20. Yeah, all right, so I'm gonna set it to align cell bottom, and I am going to do something weird because for whatever reason the text, the heading has some space at the bottom and I don't want that. Yeah, I would say about 5 maybe is okay. Also, I want the text to be aligned on the right hand side. All right, so let's set this container to justify content and. Okay, make sure that it's content and. Of course, it depends on how you want to set it. Can be also start, for example, if you want it to be on this side. So it's up to you how you want to arrange it. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the typography and I want to give this heading and the second one a little bit more size, up to 11 rem. Okay, it's gonna look a little bit better. Of course, it looks like this with the font that I'm using. You will have to probably adjust it for whatever font you are going to be using. So let me go to the body text as well, and what I want to do here is just change the line height because I feel like it's a little bit too squished and it doesn't look very readable. And right now I think it's pretty okay. And let me just publish and let's have a look on the front end, and it's looking pretty okay. So now we're going to be adding another container in this parent container. So let me go to my structure, go to the parent container and go to add a container widget in. And let's set this to be full width. I will not set the height, but I will set the direction to row horizontal because I'm going to have 3 elements in here that I want to sit on the same level. So they're visible horizontally, obviously. All right, so first element that I want to add is an icon list widget, and let's just drop it in here. And what I will do, let me just move my head because I want to move this at the end of the container. Yeah, and now you can see what I'm doing. Let me just move my head, it's always in the way. All right, so far so good. Let me just move this a little bit out. And okay, let's remove this and this, and we only want one of these items in the icon list. And what I'm gonna say is just say scroll down, and that's it, nothing else. And I'm just gonna add these brackets because it makes it look very cool. Oops, not that, this one. And yeah, maybe we can add some space. All right, so far so good. Let me just go to style. Let me go to text and change this to, actually, let me just go to grab this from here because we wanted to have the same color or the same shade of white, let's say. All right, so let me just go again to the, to the content, and let me just remove the icon because we don't need it. We're going to add our own icon that is actually an HTML widget. I'm going to drop some HTML code in there. So let's go to add the HTML widget. Let me look for it and let me just grab the code. So this is the HTML structure. You see nothing yet because we need to add some CSS. And don't be scared, it's quite a lot of CSS, but there's nothing that you need to do here. Boom, there. The only thing that you can do or should do is change the color and maybe the size of the width, the border, etc. Yeah, so where you can change the color is here where it says white. For example, let's say if we say red, you see that part's changed to red. Okay, you should be lower cap red. Oops, again, red, and then red here as well. Yeah, and it's red now. It's pretty cool as well. And I'm gonna keep it white because it goes very well with our content. Actually, it should be the same color as the scroll down text, but it's okay. Actually, what I want to do is just change a little bit the size of the text here because it's too small compared to the arrows. So let's look for the font family. Oops, the one that we are using for the body text. That is good. Let's change it to REM, and I think this size is okay. Publish, and let's have a look on the front end. And look already how interesting it looks. So as you can see, you make the user travel their eyes by reading the text as it flows on the page. So delightful interiors made to live. And then either scroll down or you can read the body text on the left hand side. And I think it's pretty cool. All right, so now for the grand finale, let's say we're going to be adding the GSAP element of this first video from this series. So I'm gonna go to add a video widget. Let's look for it and just drop it in here. But let me just move it. I want it to be the first element in this container. Okay, so this is not going to be a YouTube video as source. We set it as self-hosted and we want an external link. So let me just grab the external link that I have here and drop it like that. So what we want, I don't think that this is advisable necessarily, but depends on the kind of video that you have and how you want this to behave on the page. So I'm going to set this to autoplay because it's more interesting. We're not going to have it to play on mobile, although we're not going to have it play on mobile. We're going to have it muted and we're going to have it looping. Let's go to style. And that is the aspect ratio that we want. You can change it to whatever you want. You can have whatever size you want, but keep in mind that the effect might differ or not work. So I have tested with this size and this size only. Okay, let's go to advanced and let's add the CSS class that we need here for our GSAP code to work. All right, so as this is working the way it's working right now, let's just go and publish and let's just have a preview without the GSAP code. So I think it's still looking pretty okay this way, and we're gonna have more space here. We're gonna arrange it better. You're gonna see it's gonna look pretty good. What I'm gonna do, let me just change the size of this scroll down icon list. I want it to be to have a custom width and it to be pixels, right? So this is the size. All right, so I'm gonna add another HTML widget in here. So let me just look for it, grab it and drop it. So I'm gonna add the GSAP code and I'm gonna drop it in here, and let's publish and let's see if this is working. And it's working really great, but the thing that we don't have on this website is actually smooth scrolling. Yeah, as you can see, it's a little bit not that smooth, and this GSAP or some of these GSAP effects work very, very well with LENIS smooth scrolling. They, especially the scrolling ones, right? So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go in the dashboard. Let me go to the dashboard in the back end, go to Elementor custom code, and I'm gonna drop my LENIS in here. So let's call it LENIS, set it to body end, make sure that it's body end, otherwise it's not gonna work. And I'm gonna drop the code right in here, just like that, publish. And we want it on the entire site, so I'm gonna save it, and that's that. All right, so I still have to do something. I need to go in the site settings here and go to custom CSS, and I need to add some CSS for LENIS, and this is the code for LENIS. Okay, I will have this all these codes in the description below, so you can grab it. All right, I'm gonna save it and let's see. Oh yeah, it's amazing, right? I think it's quite interesting, right? So what we can do, if you want, you can also change the size of these arrows because I think they're a little bit too big, right? So let's go to the CSS code and let's go to change it here. So let me just open this up so you can see it and you can understand what I'm doing. So let's just say maybe 13 and 13. I think it's a little bit better this way. It looks a little bit more elegant and not so big. Of course, you can work it out the way you want it. All right, so here we are. We have a nice hero section, yeah, and it's quite neutral. You can set it up however you want. You can even add a call to action button inside this container or inside this container if you want. All right, and it's quite flexible. As I said, that is the idea of this series to build this page that is very flexible and you can work it the way you want it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. All right, coming next week. Look at this. We have 3 sets of markers. Okay, so this is where our animations start and end. Okay, and as you can see, we're scrolling, and welcome to the second episode of this series. So today we're going to be doing a second section. Again, it's going to be an interesting GSAP effect, and this is going to show the services that we provide as either an agency, a consultant, a developer, anything that you want. This is where you can have your services listed. But first, let's go a little bit in the backend of Elementor hosting to see what we are dealing with here. So if you have seen the first episode of this series, you know that we're building this landing page plus on Elementor hosting. So we're using Elementor as hosting as well, which is fantastic because we don't have to worry about anything else. So let's get into the video. All right, as you can see, we are in the backend of our website in Elementor, in the Elementor hosting dashboard. And as you can see here in the backend, we have an overview of our website. All right, so far we have created a website and we have edited our homepage, which is basically the landing page. All right, and we have not connected a custom domain yet, but you can do that. For now, we have this funny name here. All right, so what we can do from here is either go to WP admin, which is the dashboard backend of WordPress, and you can also access the pages, post, media library, or manage plugins from here right away. Okay, super easy. Or you can just edit the website. You can go to edit the website and it takes you to the Elementor editor. Okay, you can add right away a page from here, add a blog post, create a header, create a footer, etc. Amazing, right? If you want to do these things from here. We can also create a staging environment, but for now, I don't think we need this. Important though, I love this and I always do this. I set up a backup because you never know what happens and you can lose your work. So I'm gonna set up a backup first. Let's just say fail proof site. Okay, and let's just create it. And it's done. We have manually created a backup of our website. It's actually in process, but this is going to appear here. Okay, let's go to overview. We're going to come back to the backup to see how it looks after it has been created. And you can also see here on the overview, the last backup date and so on. And you can see the data center of our hosting is in Belgium. Also, just quickly before we start everything else, let's go to the advanced. And this is where you can see your hosting tools, your performance, your website performance. You can clear the cache from here, which I'm going to do right away. Cache is cleared. This is a manual thing. Clear WordPress revision history as well. You can do that. I'm not going to do it right now. Enable media fallback, and we have security, which is all set. You can limit traffic by country, which is amazing. You can add countries to the blacklist or block or allow countries, etc. This is fantastic. And so on and so forth. Site management. This is where you can also delete your website if you don't want it anymore. Delete the content only, but keep the website. You can transfer it out if you want. You can set up a maintenance window for your date or day or whatever for the website to be under maintenance. All right, we said it. That's it for now. Let's go into our website and let's start building. So this is what we have built in the previous episode of this series. As you can see, we have grow and shrink effect here on this video. I wish it was a little bit more visible, but because of the colors of the video, it's not. And as you can see, it's very cool. We will add some effects on the text as well, but those effects are already on the channel. I'm not gonna go through them. I'm just gonna add the code at the end once we have finalized the series. Okay, so all these micro interactions that we have on the channel already, I don't want to go through them because they might make people angry. So I will just link them in the description below if you want to watch them separately. But for now, let's just focus on the effect of today. All right, so we're gonna add another section here, and this section will have our services. Right, I'm gonna drag in a container I'm gonna set this to be full width and the height 100 VH and publish. All right, so we want our elements to have a content justified center, and they will sit in the center of the container. Okay, so let's go to advanced, and we are gonna set the padding to be 150 top, 20 left, 20 right, and 150 bottom. And that is for this part. I'm gonna publish. As you know, I like to publish right away everything that I set on the page, just in case. And let's go to widgets, and I'm gonna look for a divider. I'm gonna drop that in here, and I want this divider to have a color of white. Let's just go back to the hero section, and I want to grab the color. I should save it. Maybe I should save it because I'm gonna use it quite a lot. And let's say white. All right, create the color, and let's go to the divider. Let's go to select white, and let's go and publish. And this is going to be very, very cool. You will see how this divider will slide in. Super cool. All right, so I need to set a class on this divider right away. Go to advanced and go to CSS classes and paste it in there. So first of all, I will be setting this. We're gonna have at least 3 dividers. I think you can add more dividers if you want, but for my example, I'm gonna have 3 dividers, and you can just copy paste them. So you set one, you can copy paste it in the section. Okay, so you don't have to repeat it. All right, so we're gonna add another container in this. So this is a child container. Yeah, that's how the structure looks. And let's set this to full width, and the height is going to be 25 VH. And I also am going to set the direction of the elements to be row horizontal, and I want them to be spaced between. Yeah, I want them to have space between. And let's go to advanced, and I'm gonna have 2 classes here. Okay, so I'm gonna just copy paste them, and one is reveal section and one is grow section. You will see how this will behave. Again, this container will be duplicated because we're gonna have the same elements in this section. Okay, so it's going to be the divider, which is going to be 3 times, and it's going to be this container, which is going to be featured 3 times. All right, so in this container, I'm going to add a heading. So I'm gonna drop a heading in here, and this heading, okay, this is going to be very random in terms of what text I add literally here. It doesn't matter. I'm going to set the HTML tag to an H3, but this is of course up to you and how you want to set it up. I'm gonna go to style and set this to be white, and good that we set the color already as a global color. And let's go to look for inter. Okay, I'm gonna use inter as a heading as well. So set this to REM and go all the way to 3 REM. I think this might be a little bit too much, but we'll see. All right, publish. And the next thing we're gonna add in this container, it's going to be another container. Go to the container itself and go to the widgets and select a container widget. So this is going to hold our image. So I'm gonna go add an image widget in here right away. Set this to be full, and let's first set the size of our container, okay, because this is also very important. I'm gonna set this to be 35%, and the height is going to be 12 VH. I know it sounds very random, but these are the values that I have noticed work best with this setup. So I'm gonna set a class on this container as well. So go to advanced, go to CSS classes, and drop the class right here. But if you don't like the names of the classes that I'm using, you can change them, but you have to make sure that you change them in the code. So maybe it's not advised if you don't know exactly how to do that. Okay, I'm gonna set the image at a later date, a later stage. For now, let's just focus on making this better. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the image widget, go to style, and we need to set here the width. So I'm gonna say 76, or you can say 75 if you like. 75, let's say 75 max width as well, and 75% height, and set the object fit to color. And now we're good. All right, so there is another container that we have to add in this container, in this parent container, in this section. to say better. So let me just close this. All right, so let me add another container in here, and let's set the container width to be 35. Yeah, there you go. No height, it's okay if we don't set a height. And we're gonna add two headings in here, okay? But first, let's set the direction of our container. So the direction is going to be column vertical and space between elements, okay? And let's go to advanced. And I'm gonna set a class on this element as well. Let's text wrapper. Let's publish, and now we are ready to add our headings. So I'm gonna copy this heading here, paste, and I'm gonna bring in my text. We're gonna change the size of it and everything else because it's a little bit too big. Set this to be a paragraph instead of an H3, and set this to be a size 1.2 and 1.3. I think it's fine, and set it to be 400 weight, and that's about it. Maybe 300? No, 400 is fine. Again, it depends on your font. All right, so we're gonna have it set to be this color white. All right, so I'm gonna duplicate this and I'm gonna add my text. Let me just bring in my text, and again, super random, but it is what it is, and this is just a placeholder. Okay, I'm gonna publish. Yes, it's gonna look much better once we have images, but I'm gonna set that up a little bit later. Okay, so what we can do now is basically simply duplicating these two elements. So it's the divider that we have to duplicate, and then it's this container that is containing all these elements. So let's do them one by one. So duplicate, yeah, drag it, duplicate, the beauty of duplication. And then we have to just change the text, but maybe we're not gonna change it for the purpose of this video to be kind of shorter and to the point. Maybe we can leave it like this. Duplicate and duplicate. Did I miss something here? I think this is right. Okay, so yeah, let's just change the text so we can sort of differentiate and it looks a little bit more like it should. All right, we have another heading here. All right, let's have a preview. Okay, so we're scrolling. Okay, why is there so much space? Okay, that's weird. Okay, so this is not the whole thing. I'm gonna add more code, so this is going to change the way it behaves, okay? We don't want this kind of reveal, but there's something wrong here. Okay, I was wondering what is going on here. Okay, that was interesting, to say the least. All right, so I forgot to set the headings here in the sections to custom size. We need to do that. Yeah, 25. Let me just copy and paste the style so we don't have to worry about not being the same. All right, let's just have another look. Yes, this is what I'm going for, more or less. All right, we need to add another container here for the purpose of scrolling experience. This will be deleted or replaced with another effect next week, next episode. Let's say 100 VH, yeah, for scrolling purposes only for now. All right, let's scroll, and scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. Okay, as I said, this is not the whole effect. Now we are going to be adding our GSAP. So I'm going to go in my HTML code here. And as I said earlier, since we are copying pasting a lot of these snippets, it's going to get a little bit rough in some ways. As you can see, I have to delete this part here already. Have to delete this part and also copy paste the part that is in the script and post it right in here. Yeah, this might complicate things. Let's see how the effect works now. All right, that is the moment of the truth. Let's go home, and this still works fine, and the effect works, but we need to add something here, and that something is a little bit more CSS because things need to work a little bit different. So I'm gonna go in the parent container, yeah, the container that holds all these sections. Yeah, so I'm gonna click on it and go to advanced and go to custom CSS and drop the CSS in here. And let's see what happened now. We're scrolling and we're scrolling, and this is the effect that we wanted. Yeah, but as you can see, we need to adjust a little bit the way the effect comes or lingers in. And for that, we can add some bold text here in the section, like a big text saying what this section is about. And in our case, is about services. So let's go and look for a heading, a widget. Let me just close everything to see where we are. So let me just go and add it at the top of the first container. Let's just go to this heading and copy the style and paste it right here, so we don't have to bother, and just change what this stands for. So this is services. Very important. All right, so let's see how it looks right now. I think we will still have to add some more space, but let's just have a look. Okay, services. And yeah, it's working okay. But what's happening here is that our effect does something that I don't like, which is kind of pushes in too fast. So we need to add a little bit more space under services. I think that is the solution right now. I'm going to go to the heading, go to advanced and go to margin. And I'm going to just add a bottom margin of 100, might be too much, maybe. Maybe not, maybe 150. So let's see, scrolling. All right. Because we need the time to read the actual text, or it's very important, right? All right, so we're gonna add a heading in here, right in the container. I'm gonna duplicate this one and let's set this to be something else. So let me just grab the style, copy and paste the style. Paste. Okay, very tiny. And let me just bring it in. And voila, that's it. And let me just set the width here. And this is going to be, I'll say 21. And let's set it to be in this kind of in the center of the section. And yeah, maybe let's just say 25. It's a little bit too much text. All right, publish. And let's see how it looks. Yeah, scroll. Okay, pretty cool. But I will say again, because we have the animation at the top that is interacting with the animation at the bottom, the effect is a little bit clunky. And this is what I meant when I said at the end of the this series, I'm gonna have a big code snippet containing all these codes, and this will be optimized so it works good if you are using all these effects on one page. Yeah, and if you don't want all these effects and you just want 2 of these effects, I would suggest just grabbing the code of the, let's say, 2 effects that you want and asking ChatGPT to optimize it for you. That is going to be very helpful. Okay, so let's just have another look. Yeah, this is a little bit too clunky, although in my tests and on the website that I have worked, it doesn't work really this. So there's some room for improvement in general. All right, so let's add our images here because it looks very sad without the images. So I'm gonna go and add images. Let's go to the media library and I'm gonna drag them all in here. So this is the first one, this is the second, and this is the third, I would say. And let's see. All right, set this one here. And yeah, they're very random, I know, but of course you can place whatever images you have, and that's the point, right? It's your effect. This has, this doesn't have. All right, set this one here. All right, so let's see. I think actually the images have to have a little bit more height, and I think it should be okay to set it to 100. We just copy and paste the style. You can make it your own. Yeah. It looks much better this size. Sorry, it's now the blocking is because of my laptop. It's working overtime because I have so many things connected to it. All right, so let's go a little bit over the code. I want to look at some things and something that you can change if you want. All right, first of all, let me just turn on the markers. Okay, it's gonna be a lot of markers. These are used for debugging purposes. Yeah, so in our case, for example, look at this, we have 3 sets of markers. Okay, so this is where our animations start and end. Okay, and as you can see, we're scrolling and we can see where they start and where they end. And you can change the start and end of the one of the animations, for example, from here, or the other animations. Let's say 90%. This one is for the grow section, image wrapper, image elements. So it's for these sections, right, that hold all our elements, these ones. Yeah. And you will see the position of the respective marker changing here. So yeah, you have to play around to see what works for you. Okay, I'm gonna turn them off. And also, this is where you change your classes if you have renamed the elements, the classes differently than I did. I'm gonna publish this, and by the way, I moved the code for the grow shrink of this element to the Elementor custom code, so it's right here, right where we have LENIS as well. So I created a new code and I dropped it in here, updated, published, and that's it. All right, so that's about it, to be honest. I think, let me just go, I think there's something else, and that is, one second, where is it? I don't even know where it is. It's this one, yes, where we have our CSS. And you can see you can change the transform, translate X, basically the start off screen of the slide in. Yeah, you can change it to 100. I think originally I had it 100. What if I say, let's say see what happens if I put it to 150. All right, and then yeah, that's about it. Also, this part here is for the section divider, the divider. Yeah, so if you change it to left, let's see what happens. It's supposed to start on the left. Yeah, let's see. Scroll, and they start on the left. Yeah, I mean, this is one way to do it if you want, but I'm gonna switch to right. So yeah, I think that was much better. Let's see if we do this. You have to play with the values all the time, because it depends very much on what you have on your page, on what section of the page is the effect, and so on and so forth. Yeah, I don't see it to be affected too much by these changes here, so I'm gonna just leave it at 100. All right, so another thing that I did off screen, I went to the main container, yeah, went to layout and set the overflow hidden, because if you don't, so let's just say we set it to default for now, as you scroll, you will get this horizontal bar that you don't want to have. All right, as you can see, it's not very appealing. So make sure that this is turned to hidden. All right, that is all for this video. And this is the second video of this series. So I'll see you in the next episode. All right, coming next week. And today we are on the third video of this series. So let's get into it. Let's see what we are going to be creating today. All right, so I'm in the back end of my Elementor hosting. Yeah, so if I go to manage this website, I am prompted again to all these features and options. Okay, so let's go a little bit to see what this feature is here. So if I go to emails, you have the option to do an email authentication. So this authentication ensures that emails will be sent from the custom domain you set in WordPress as third-party apps, and not your default Elementor domain, which is fantastic, right? So you can connect your domain, and then if you don't have a business email, you can go and get a business email from here. So I don't know how much this would cost normally, but through Elementor you get Google Workspaces for $6 per month, and this is billed annually. Yeah, I think it's pretty fair. You can create 300 accounts for this money. I mean, you can even get it for free if you want. You don't have to pay anything, so you can get it for free, and these are the features that are included. So let's go back, and as I said, you can connect your domain here. You can, if you don't have a domain, you can get a free domain from here. All right, so let's go to backups, and as you can see, since we have created this page, this website, basically we have had backups done daily. Yeah, So this was created on the 27th of April, okay? And it seems like I did one manual backup and it didn't work for whatever reason. But after that, every day there is a backup created. So if you go here, you can restore, yeah, basically you can use this backup to restore your website. So if you did something, you can restore it, yeah, to the latest backup. So let's create a backup. Let's see what happens. Test manual. I'm curious why the previous one failed. Okay, so the backup has been created. It's creating the backup for us. So we have to come back. If I don't forget, I'll come back to see if the backup was created, and it's doing this in the backend. All right. And if we go to plugins, let's see what we have here. All right, so these are the plugins that we have installed currently on the website. So what we can do is basically select one and go to actions, either deactivate, update, disable auto updates, or simply delete it from here. You don't even have to go in the dashboard to go through the process. You simply do it from here, yeah, one by one. So if I just click on it, you don't have to actually select, and you can do this action. I think for now, this is it. Let's go and edit our website. Okay, so I'm going to open the dashboard and let's go to home. So let's have a quick preview to see what we have done earlier. Let's see. So this was video 1 and this was video 2. All right, so I still feel like this is a little bit choppy and somehow it doesn't work as it worked on my test website for whatever reason. I have to check this out to see what is going on. Could be some setting that I am missing to turn off or on. I have no idea, but we're going to deal with this at the end of the series. For now, we are going to be adding another section here, and this is going to be just something not GSAP, but we need to add something extra on this page. Yeah. So for now, we have the hero section, and then we have services, which it makes sense to have right after your hero section, right? And then you can say something about yourself, and then you can add, let's say, your projects, right? Or maybe this could be your project if you want. Yeah, we could say projects here and then something about you or your company, and then have your services listed here, which makes more sense, to be honest. So we can change this, but for now, let's just work on the actual effect. So as I said in the previous videos, these effects can be worked out on different websites. You can just grab the snippet, the code snippet for each effect, and use it on another website. You don't have to use the whole code containing all these snippets. All right, so let's go to create another page here. So right now we just have a simple container, and I'm just going to add an image here. Yeah, let me just go for look for image, and this can be whatever image you want. Can be an image or a featured image, up to you, and whatever works for your own case. Yeah, so let's go with this one. Feels like it's very representative. I'm gonna set this to be full width, and the style is going to be width, full width, 100%, 100%, height 100% as well, and the object fit is going to be cover and center. All right, so far so good. Let's add in the same container here, in the parent container, let's add a heading, and I'm going to add something interesting here, and we're going to make it cool. So this is the website that we're kind of like following for inspiration. Yeah, so if we go to about, you will see the inspiration. So this is what we're going to be doing today. All right, so let's go and have a look. So I'm going to add this text here. Yeah, and whatever, don't mind what it says, it's just text. So let's go to styling and let's style this a bit because it's not very nice. So let me just see what font I used here because I honestly don't remember. So it's Inter. Okay, I'm gonna go and set this to Inter, and let's make it big, 3.5. Yeah, and it's a little bit too harsh. Okay, so as you can see, we have a special guest here, a special appearance. We have this span, and this is going to be turned into whatever. You can call it number, you can call it whatever you want, the class. We're going to use it to target this part of the text to make it smaller. All right, so I'm going to add some CSS here. So I'm going to go to heading, and I'm going to go to advanced and all the way to custom CSS and drop it there. And it's looking already much better. Let me just go and style this to white, much better. And I think this is coming along pretty well. Let's see what we have on the front end. So we scroll, and boom, boom. Okay, that needs to be changed. We need to leave some space here. This is pretty cool. We need to set a little bit of margin around it, or padding or whatever. Let's set some padding left and right. So I would say 20 and 20. Yeah, let's publish, and again, and it's looking pretty good. I think it's coming along pretty well, right? I think so too. Instead of adding lorem ipsum, we could just do something else, but I'm going to focus on that at the end when I'm going to make this mobile optimized, okay? For now, the idea is to make everything work, right? All right, so as I said, this is the effect that we're going for right now, yeah? This is the one that we are going to be building. So let's go back to home, and I want to give this container some margin top and bottom. So I'm going to say 200 and 100. So let's add a container in here, and let's set this to be vertical. Yeah. Boxed full, actually, content with full as usual, and I'm going to set this to be 100 VH. And now we can actually go up and grab this heading, so we don't have to restyle it, right? What's the point? Gonna paste it in here, and I'm just gonna say forces, all right? And it looks like it belongs here. All right, so I'm going to set the, as you can see when I hover over it, and we're going to have this issue as we create the effect, we get this horizontal line that is not nice. Anyway, this needs to disappear, so I'm going to go to the parent container, go to additional options, and set overflow to hidden, okay? And now it's all gone. We don't have to worry about this again. All right, so what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna go and look for the icon list, and I'm gonna drag it in here. You can just click on it and it will appear on the page. This is just a force of habit. All right, so I'm gonna set this to be a custom width of 50%, and I'm going to set it to end. All right, let's go to style it. So I'm gonna go to the icon. First of all, let's go to the content because we need to replace this icon. So I'm going to go to look for something stacked. All right, I'm going to go with this one. This is just a placeholder. You can add whatever you want. Let's go to the icon style. Let's make it a bit bigger, about this size, and change the color to white. Let's go to the text and change this to enter, and size, I think we could go with 1.4, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just go and have a look at this, for example. I cannot copy the style from here because it's not the same widget. So 1.3. Okay, let's go and change it then to 1.3, and whoops, let's go and change it to white. And we can just add whatever here. I'm gonna copy this text. Yeah, I'm just gonna copy some of this text and drop it in there. At the end of the day, this is simply a placeholder. So instead of just having some lorem ipsum, we're gonna have this, okay? Let me just go here a little bit to see how much line height we have. So we didn't set anything. All right, then we just leave it the way it is because that is fine. Or maybe we have to do something about this line height. Seems like it's not in the right position. So something like this, I think. Looks like this. Yeah. All right. So far, so good. This is not important. Maybe you can add something else. Maybe you want to add something else. You will use different font. This is just for demonstration purposes, so we can create this effect. Okay. So I am going to add in the first container that will have this text that will appear on scroll, but keep in mind that we can create one and then we duplicate because we will have around, I think, 4 in total or 5. You can create how many you want, so we don't waste time, right? All right, so I'm gonna go in the parent container again. I am going to widgets and go to layout and select container. Let's set this to be full width, and I'm gonna set a height of 11 VH on it, and let's set the space between to be justified content space between. All right, so I think that's it for now. We're gonna put a class on it, but I don't want to put a class on it because I already have the code in here. So if I do that, this will disappear and I will not see what I'm doing. All right. So I'm going to show you how this is done. I already have the effect on the page. So I will just create this so you see how it is created. Then you can duplicate it, and then I will tell you where to put the classes. Okay. All right. So let's go and add divider, and this divider will be solid. It stays like this, but we're changing the color to white so we can see it on the page. All right, again, we're gonna add a class on this. Okay, so most of the elements will have classes that will be added in the code, so this work. Next, in this container right here, we're gonna add a heading, and this heading will be again inter, yeah, font family rem3. Okay, and let's go down to, I would say, 5, right? And let me just add the title content here, and we're gonna leave it like this. It's okay. We can work on this later. Yeah, at a later stage, probably at the end when we're gonna add the text, let's say, on the page, so it makes sense. Right now we just have a lot of filler text. All right, next step, we are going to go to, we're gonna go to style again and change the color to white, and go to advanced, go to width, and we're gonna set the custom width to 50 right here, and then align self end. All right, so far so good. I'm gonna save it because I like to save things before anything else. And let's go in this container, containing all this, containing these elements. I'm gonna drop another container which will contain a heading. So I'm gonna add the heading right away, and this heading actually is a paragraph. Again, I'm not gonna change this. You can change them however you want. Maybe I will do this towards the end when I finalize this. The point of these videos is to have these elements working together on a page, because I'm trying to prove you that you can have GSAP full page that works well and it looks good and it has a point. All right, so this is the P. Yeah, let's go to style. Let's go to change it to inter, and let's switch this to 1.4 and 400. Actually, I think it's 1.3, right? If I remember correctly. All right, so again, I'm just gonna grab some content here. I don't care about the text. Go to content and drop it like it's hot. Go to advanced and set the width to be 50 as well here, and set it to end. All right, and voila. So I also want to set this to 50, and I am going to set this to center right there. Or let's change the color of the text, and that is it. I think we have created our prototype, let's call it, right? So let's go to see how it looks on the front end so far, right? Okay, we're going somewhere. Okay, keep in mind that this will have the same effect like here. It comes in like that. All right, so it's not gonna look like this. Okay, I want to give some space to this at the bottom, so I'm gonna say let's say 150. It looks much better. And also this container will have, let's say, maybe 50 padding. Let's see how it looks on the front end, so it's not so snugged to the, let me see. Okay, so I'm gonna actually set the margin on the right. Yeah, so let's see what we have. All right, so if you have any issues ever and you think that things are not working properly on the page, in Elementor hosting, you have this option here where you can go and clear post cache. Yeah, I did that before when I was testing their website and things were not working properly. Oops. And in the end, it kind of cleared out. Just keep in mind that that is an option. All right, so I think I figured out what the issue was. Yep. So if you go here to align self, so as you are in the container, yeah, go to align self and set the alignment to end, and that happens. All right, so yeah, we have some space here. I think that's okay for now. All right, so now let me just close this, and now let's add our classes. These are very important, so please do not skip this part, because if you skip something, it's not going to work and you're going to wonder what's going on. So let's start with the first element, okay? So we are going to add a class on this container, yeah, that contains all these elements, and we're going to call it reveal section. As always, you can change these classes. You see, it disappeared already. You can change these classes if you want, but you have to make sure that you change them in the code as well. So, right, so we will have to add a class on this container, but I'm not going to add it now, because if I do that, this will happen. And you will not see what I'm doing and where I'm putting the classes exactly on the element. So that will be done at the end. So let's go to add a class on the divider. So this is the class. And as you can see, it already took a different shape, and it's only 50% of what it used to be. All right, so this is because I have added some CSS for it. Yes, you can do it in Elementor natively, but for whatever reason, it works better if you do it with CSS when you're adding some snippets in. So yeah, next element is the heading. So this is the class for it. And then we have this container, and I'm gonna drop the class right here. And I think that's it. I think we are ready to add our class to the reveal section container. Yeah, this is the class, and it disappeared. All right, let's see how it's working. All right, update. Fingers crossed that it's working, because I had some issues before and I had to delay this a few times. Okay, all right, so there's a little error here. It should stop here, but then it continues again. It starts again. So I need to optimize that, but overall, this is a cool effect, right? Also, if you go to the container and you switch this content position, it will change. So it will change how it appears. So let's say we want to have the justify content end. Yeah, let's publish and let's see what happens. Scroll, 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 blah, blah, blah. Okay. Yeah, it's a little bit tighter, but we have this issue. Yeah, it's cut off. In any case, let me just go to the parent container. I forgot to mention this, that the parent container needs to have some CSS for all these things to work. So I already have the CSS on the page. That's why it's working currently, as I said. Let me just bring it in here so you can see it. So go to the container and go to custom CSS and drop it like that. Let's go to have a look. So let me just delete this now again, and let's see what happens if I don't have it in there, right? So scrolling, 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 and do you see it's a little bit choppier, yeah? So this is our CSS. I will just delete this and leave it for now. And then we have this part that relates to the section divider, okay? And yeah, as I said, you have to make sure that your container is not, that the position of the elements are well justified, yeah? So you could also say space around. Let's see what happens if we set this to space around. Okay, this is good as well. I think we could leave it space around. So at this point, I think it's ready. We could duplicate it, yeah? That is the point here. We have finished the effect on one of the elements, and we want another, we could say 4, duplicate, duplicate. So 4 in total, duplicate. Let's see how this works. All right, scrolling, scrolling, scrolling. And I think it's working pretty well. I'll be honest, I think I like it. Could be worse. All right, so if you want for this divider to be stopping at half of the page, as we have the heading, yeah, and the body text, you can go here and just say 0.5. You have the option to just, basically it starts from 0.5 and it scales to 0.5. In other words, staying the same. Yeah, that's unnecessary, that can be removed, but I'm just showing you what that means. And voila, you could do this as well, you know. This is also interesting. And it doesn't look like it's the same effect like here, although it has kind of the same base. Yeah, I think this is more interesting. Yeah, so you can play around with these values. Again, as I always tell you, if you have any issues and you don't understand something, grab the code, put it in ChatGPT and ask it to help you fix it. But as I showed you before, the elements, setting the settings in Elementor natively changes the effect. So you have to make sure that you play good with these things and set them properly. And if you don't know what you're doing or you don't know why something worked the way it worked, then follow the lead and just keep the effect the way it is in my example. Yeah. Because even if you ask help from ChatGPT, ChatGPT will not understand what you did in Elementor natively. Yeah. So even though ChatGPT, I'm telling you this from experience, even though ChatGPT goes through your code and optimizes it and works on it, if you put it in Elementor, will not work properly because you already have some settings that interfere with the code. So I'm testing this ahead of time so you know that things are going to work the way I'm showing you. Yeah, unless there's some kind of update in Elementor that ruins everything. So you pay for, playing with GSAP. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I will leave the code for this specific effect separately. If you want to use it somewhere else, be my guest. It worked. We are going to be building or rebuilding the hero section, and I will show you why, because I found something that we can make better. So I took a snippet that we had before and I kind of made it work for this hero section, and I think it's adding a little bit more charm to the hero section or to our landing page than the previous one. The other hero section I have converted to a section on the page after the hero section, so it's still there. Okay, that effect is still there. So this is kind of a stacking effect, and I think it's really amazing because right away off the bat, as you scroll the page, you get an idea of what the website is about, or the landing page is about, which is the most important thing, right? Otherwise, what's the point of having such a landing page? And as usual, all the codes and everything also from previous parts will be in the description below. Everything will be linked, so if you need references, you can reference back. So let's get into it. All right, so I'm gonna go in the backend of my Elementor hosting first of all, because I want to go to performance, because I want to go to security. And if you know how to do this, great, you can do this with a plugin. But in Elementor hosting, you have the option to limit traffic by country, and here it says allow all. Okay, so let's see what we can do. Allow all countries. Okay, block selected countries. So I'm gonna go to block a few countries. No shade, I'm just going whatever country. Okay, I love all countries, so do not take it personally. We have Andorra, Croatia and Cyprus blocked. Okay, so these countries will not have access to our website. I think this is a great feature, especially if you don't want you don't want traffic from countries that you just don't want the traffic for whatever reason. Your reason is valid. Okay, so let's go to site management, and if you want to transfer the website, let's say that you are working on this website for a client, you can go and start the transfer. Okay, and you can see here, where do you want to transfer your site? To myself or to a client? So if you go to client, you can input their email here. They will receive a notification, and then they will be able to go through the steps to get the site on their name. All right, so to myself, for example, if you want to transfer it to yourself, go to continue, and this is where you have the transfer wizard taking you through the steps on how to do it. Okay, so this is also an option. I'm showing you what's possible because maybe you're curious, right? And you don't want to get into Elementor hosting before you have some facts about it. So I think these are very boring facts, but facts that at some point will become important depending on what you want to do and set up your website to do in the backend. You can also delete the content if you want, and that it means that you will start over with a fresh site and the default settings. All right, so you can also delete the website, but the data will completely be gone as it says there, and you will just have a new website slot for another website if you want to build something else on this subscription. All right, so yeah, that's fantastic. So you can also go to logs to see all the logs that you have received here. For example, access logs. This feature is currently in beta, so we will see what comes of that. But as you can see, I have received some error logs here, so you can download this information, clear it, refresh it, whatever. Maybe forward it to your IT department if you have one, or someone who is knowledgeable on that, and you can, try to understand what has happened. As I said, these are just the boring facts that are sometimes so important, and we do not find information online about this because everyone is going for the shiny facts about a product. So let's get into today's effect. Let's get going, okay? So this used to be the hero section. I will leave a link in the description below for the video where I was building this. There was an additional body text here, but I removed it before filming this video. So let's get into adding the first part of the hero section, okay? I don't want to keep you too long, and I don't want to make this longer than it's necessary, okay? So let's get right into it. So first of all, let's add a container. So I'm gonna go here. So I'm gonna add a container, drag the container in here. I'm gonna set this to be full width as always, you know that. That's the practice here. I'm gonna set it to be 100 VH. All right, oops, 100 VH. And we are going to be adding our text in here. So I'm just gonna copy and paste this, and I'm just gonna change the content of it. So paste, the content is going to be this. All right, nothing too groundbreaking, but it's to the point, okay? So the moment you land on the page, on the page, you know what this is about. All right, so I'm gonna set this to be an H1. Obviously, I already set this to be an H2, so we don't have two H1s on the page. All right, so as you can see, if I hover over it, it already has some overflow. We're gonna fix this, but what I want to do is go and add two classes on the hero section that we have just created. So go to advanced, go to CSS classes, and drop these two classes, hero and pinned. Okay, there are two separate classes, and these classes will be added in the code. All right, so if you want to change this, you have to go through the code and change it. I will not recommend it because if you miss one, it's not going to work. Just saying, as a precaution. All right, so that is pretty much it, okay, for the hero section. Let's say one thing I want to do is just set this text to be in the middle of the container. Just justify the content in the middle. Okay, let's set the size of this heading to be custom 70. All right, and the line itself, let me publish, and I think we are good here. All right, we have the classes set, everything is fine. All right, so I'm gonna add another container, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna duplicate this one, yes, and we already have a heading in here, so I'm gonna have to add another container. Yeah, we're gonna have two containers in this one. I know it's a little bit, it sounds like it's a lot, but it's not. You will see what I mean. So here we are going to add a different content. Yeah, so this is what we want to have. And let's go to style. Let's go to C. Yes, this is absolutely okay. And I'm going to change the width to be 40% custom width. All right. So let's go back to the container. Now I want to set this container to have a width of full width, yes. And I am going to set the row direction horizontal and align, justify the content end, because in here I want to add another container. So let me just duplicate another heading. So I'm gonna duplicate this one. All right, I'm gonna add different text, content, whatever you call it, and voila. All right. Oops. Actually, it's this one that I want to change. And if you noticed, there's something else that we need to change, but give me a moment to style it first. So this is going to be inter, and it's going to be 300 weight, and as well it's going to be 1.3 in size, and lots of ends. Line height 1 em, as well as, oops, let's just go back to transform normal. All right, so let's go to advanced, and I'm gonna set this custom with 220, and we are looking pretty good so far, right? I want to set everything. I want to set the justification of the content to basically none. I'm going to leave it like this for now. But if I go in the parent container, yeah, I want the direction to be column vertical. And we're going to add another container in here. Let's close this one. Okay, we don't need it anymore. We have to focus on the parent container. So we're going to add 3 containers in here where we're going to have 3 other additional containers with images. I know it's a lot, but this is what is required, all right, for this effect to work. So let's just add a container. So what we can do is basically create one and then duplicate it and just replace the images. So I'm going to set this to be full width. The height is going to be 100 VH. So let's go to advanced, and I'm going to add 2 classes here. One is card and one is paint. Make sure that you add them because they are in the code. Otherwise, they're not going to work. The effect is not going to work, okay? And inside here, we are going to be adding another container. And let's go to grab it. All right, so I am going to go and add already a class on this, and it's going to be IMG. All right, and I am simply going to drop in here an IMG widget. Yes, and let's go and bring in some images that I have saved. So go to the section and add the CSS class right here. All right, so now we can add our code. All right, first of all, I want to add the CSS. So go to the first container, the hero section container, go to advanced and go all the way to custom CSS, okay, and drop this code. And then we have to go to, let me just close it because there's so many things open. Let's go to this section, this container, okay, and we need to add some CSS here as well. And this CSS will kind of give our images a different view, okay? So I'm gonna drop it, and voila. You see, they're all images are the same size now. Okay, I'm gonna publish that, and now I already have my GSAP in here, yeah? So this is the part that we have in. So this is it here, all right? I will have this as a separate snippet if you want it as a separate snippet. Just make sure that you add this as a hero section and only as a hero section. Otherwise, it doesn't work in another way. Yeah, at least the way I did it. So now we could have a look. I'm not sure I finished all, but let's just have a look. Yes, I want to do something with this. All right, so let's make sure that we have everything set properly, okay? So if you go to the heading, this needs to be an H1, okay? And let's go to the container itself. Let's go to layout, advanced, additional options, and set the overflow hidden, yeah? And the section HTML tag, and the HTML tag as section, okay? Then let's go to the other container that we have created, and let's go over this additional options as well. We have the overflow hidden as well, and you might see that I have done something here, and I was just playing a little bit off camera here. I think it's going to be an interesting effect. So if you go to the container where we have these 2 headings and go to advanced, go all the way to motion effects and turn on the scrolling effects to on. And I have transparency and blur edited here. So set to fade out the transparency to 10. and 50% to 0 viewpoint, or 0% to 50%. And then the blur fade out to 7 and 53, but you can set it to 50, whatever, just whatever you want, and 0%. And that's about it. Let's just go a little bit to layout again. No, I want to go to the heading here because we copy paste it, and I want to make sure that it's not an H1 because otherwise it's not going to work properly. The effect as it's an H2, all right? And then our other heading is set to a P, okay? So I set it to a P instead of H1. Again, we duplicate it and all that. And let's go again to the parent container. Let's see if we have any classes here. We don't have a class. We don't have a class on this one either. Let me just close it. But we have classes on the containers that hold image container, okay? So if you go to the advanced, you go see that we have card pinned to classes, okay? And we have 3 of the same containers and they all have the same class, okay? If we go to the additional options here, the additional options HTML tag for each of these are sections, yeah, or section. And then if you go to the child container of this, you go to additional options, there's nothing else. All right, if you go to image, the image is styled, it's set to 100 max width and height 100% and cover as object fit. And we don't have any classes here, but we have a class on the container that is holding our image, which is an IMG, okay, class. All right, so if we go to the parent container and we go all the way to advanced custom CSS, you see that we have set here some CSS as well as in the in the container on the hero section, hero pinned, okay? So we also have a little bit of CSS here. I'm gonna publish. I cleaned it up a little bit, yeah, because it was just too much unneeded information. And we can go to preview. Hopefully this works, okay? Let's see. I think it's pretty cool. Yeah, you can even make the images even bigger than this. Yeah. Also, let me just go a little bit. I added something else on the heading. Yeah, it's some more CSS. This CSS is transition 0 seconds. All right, so I think that's about it. And as you can see, it's working pretty well. Yeah, we have this effect as well. Pretty cool. We can actually remove this or move it up here somewhere. Yeah. Yeah, maybe even here. We're going to do that at some point. Not now. And then voila, let's see what we have so far. I think it's pretty okay. We're going to add some more animation here. Yeah, some maybe it's going to be like a text reveal of, you know, we'll see what we come up with. And yeah, I think it's coming along. I think this is going to be very nice. And we're gonna make it better as we go along. I just want to make sure that we're setting our sections and everything is working pretty well in, you know, in tandem together, basically, because we have quite a lot of code. If I go to the code here, you see we already have so much code, so much code, yeah, for just a few effects. Actually, every section except for one has GSAP on, and I have to make sure that everything is working as well as possible together, you know. But yeah, so that concludes number 4. And I think we are coming close. Maybe we're not gonna have 8 parts because that's too much. I was thinking that we're gonna have much more, but probably not. I think maybe another 2 parts and most likely we are done with this series. And then this template will be downloadable. It's going to be mobile optimized. Of course, not all the effects will work on mobile because not everything should work on mobile. When it comes to GSAP, some things need to be just on desktop. Otherwise, you are going to mess up the user experience on mobile. And of course, that's not what you want, right? All right, so until next time, I hope you enjoy this, and I will leave it in the description below, the snippet that I used for this specific effect. But keep in mind that this only works on the hero section. This needs to be the first element on your page. Otherwise, it's not going to work. It has not been optimized for other sections on the website. This is a drawback of these effects. You need to work them on specific sections, otherwise they're not going to work. Or if you have or know someone who knows GSAP or coding, to help you to implement them on other sections on the website. All right, that's it for now. I will see you in the next one. So this is the effect that we are going to be creating today. It's a Teams lineups, let's call it like that, where you hover over the image of a teammate and you can see their name, and you can also add a link to the image so that you can find out even more about the team member. So let's get into it. As you remember, we have created the website or the landing page on Elementor hosting, and since then Elementor has come up with a new Elementor host product. So if you go on their page today, for example, you will see that they have here an option on their website where you can access it right away. So it's called Elementor host. Okay, I have already bought it because, let's click on it, because this comes without Elementor Pro. So let's go a little bit down here. Yeah, so I'm on this plan. All right, none of these plans includes Elementor Pro, but if you go to the full comparison right here, you will see that it contains, or it includes, Elementor Builder, yeah, and up to 32 widgets, elements. Then if you want to get Elementor Pro, or if you want Elementor Pro, this is sold separately. So since I already have Elementor Pro, yeah, I already pay for a subscription and I have already licenses available, I can actually add that to my account. So I can use Elementor host as my hosting, and I can add a pro license if I have one available. Otherwise, you can go to their website, go to pricing, go to page builder pro plugin, and you will have to choose one of these accounts that suits your needs, either pro or WooCommerce bundle, whatever you want. Okay, so yeah, you know how it goes. Anyway, so let's get to our GSAP effect, and then we're gonna revisit this in a bit. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my landing page. So I want to show you already how it looks, because maybe you have forgotten, or who knows, you do not remember what we did. All right, so I'm gonna go to preview changes. So let's scroll, and voila, yes. All right, you can add more images if you want. I changed the color here so you can see how this video grows, and I made it on purpose smaller, but you can add more size to it and not have it so dramatic. All right, on scroll. So services, yeah, we have to add some images here, and another image here, but we are getting there. Yeah, and that's it so far. So we're going to be working on adding our teammates here. All right, so we are going to be adding a new container in here. So let's drop it. Oops, it went in the wrong place. Yeah, let me just drag it myself. All right, so let's go. Let's set this to full width as we usually do. All right, and set the height to 100 VH. Okay, so this is where we are going to have all the elements. This is the parent container. Okay, so I'm gonna set this to be justify content center, align item center, advanced align self center. So basically everything is set to center. All right, so I'm going to add the class here on this parent container, and this is going to be team. So if you want to change this class here, you can do so, but as always, remember, you have to change this in the code, okay? So I do not recommend changing this unless you are careful, all right? I'm gonna save it, so I'm gonna do this after every element that I add to the page. Excuse me, because my shirt is making some noises on my desk. Let me just fix it. Still doing it. Oh. All right, so let's continue, okay? So I'm gonna add another 2 containers in here, and this one is going to, the one that I'm gonna add now is going to hold our images, yeah? So this is going to be also, we're gonna justify the content horizontal and space evenly, okay? And we are gonna align the items, align itself center again, and we're going to be adding a class as well. Let me just bring it in here, and voila, I'm gonna save this. And now we're gonna go and add a container, and the container is going to hold an image. So we're gonna have 9 of these containers and 9 images, obviously, and these 9 images will each have a corresponding name, all right? Plus 1 extra, which is going to be the default where it says our team. So get cracking. So I'm gonna add, we're gonna do this. I'm gonna add a container here. I'm gonna style it. I'm gonna do all the things, and then we're gonna duplicate so I'm not wasting any time. So adding one here, all right, and I'm going to add already a class on it. Yeah, and this is the class. Let me just go to the layout and justify content center. So I'm gonna add the image in here, the image widget. Drop it like that, and I'm going to add the images. So I'm gonna drop all these images in, so we don't have to like go back and forth to keep adding images to the container. So I'm gonna start with this guy, all right? And don't worry, this will also be styled. Some of these elements will be styled with CSS. Some we're gonna be doing right in the editor natively, because if we can, why should we use CSS, right? So I'm gonna go to style, and I'm gonna turn everything on to 100%, including the height. So 100%, and open object fit cover, and I'm gonna set the border radius to REM 0.3. Oops, didn't take 0.3. Okay, let me publish. Let me just go to the parent container. Let me close this. So I am going to name this because we're going to get confused. So team IMGs, and this we're going to call our team. Okay, so you know, I will also try to name everything so you know which is which feature. I think that makes things easier. All right, so I'm not gonna name this container because there's no point. I am just gonna leave it like that. What I will do though, I will remove all the padding from this parent container, yeah? So the gaps, I mean, no gaps whatsoever, and no gaps whatsoever in the team's image container, all right, as well. Let me publish. All right, everything else remains the same. So what I'm gonna do, as I said, I'm gonna duplicate this container and I'm gonna add all the images. I'm gonna speed this up because I don't want to waste your time, but I want you to see that this, how this is done, if you want to see. All right, so I'm gonna just start replacing the images, and I will get back to the next feature in a bit. All right, so we are back, and this is how it looks so far. What I wanted to say at this point is that you have to make sure that your Elementor is updated to the latest version, because what I encountered was some sort of weird behavior where when I would see this on the preview, basically, yeah, not in the editor would look like this. And in the preview, when it was loading, or it's loaded already, I would only see like 3 images. And then if I hovered over one of the images, the others would pop up. So I don't know what that was about. So after I have updated Elementor, then everything was fine. I mean, this is, as I said many times, this is the trade-off when you're using GSAP in like a third party. There are some things that you need to keep in mind that will happen, or, you know, keep things updated, because you never know, things will stop working. So let's carry on to the next container. So I'm gonna add, let me just open the structure, close all this, and close our team images, because now we are going to be adding the team names. Okay, so each individual is going to get a name. As I said, one is going to be a default, which is going to be practically 10 containers instead of 9 as we have images, because the 10th container is for the default our team. Okay, anyway, that's it. Let's go in. So I'm gonna go in the parent container, go to add element container, and this is going to be full width as well. And we're calling this profile names, okay? This container. All right, so I'm gonna publish again, and we're gonna add containers as we did with the images, but instead of images, we're gonna have a heading, okay? And the heading is going to be an H2. If you want to change the HTML tag of the heading, you have to make sure that you change that in the code, and we'll show you where, because otherwise it's not going to work. You're going to hover over the images and you're going to be like, oh, why is it not working? That's why. All right, so I'm going to add here the name to this container, profile names. Okay, and let's add our first container. This is the default container inside, and this is going to have a class of name and a class of default. Yeah, so let's add a heading in here as well, and we are going to say our team here. You can have it in caps, whatever you want. I'm just gonna say our team. Okay, and as you see, it's already by default an HTML tag H2. As I said, if you prefer to have a different HTML tag, by all means change it here if you want. Okay, all right, so what we are going to do, let's go to style, and I want to see what we used here for so it's bricolage grotesque. All right, so we are using bricolage grotesque. Let's go and add bricolage grotesque. All right, I think 400 might be fine. 400 and uppercase. All right, and what I want to do as well, obviously, change the color of white. Also, I am going to publish this, and one thing that I forgot to do is go to profile names, to the parent container, and make sure that the layout direction is column vertical here. Okay, because the names will be on top of each other, will be stacked, and we are also removing the gaps in this container. All right, so let's publish and let's continue. I'm going to duplicate this, and I will come back to add the GSAP code, and then let's see if it's working, because sometimes, you know, there's some things that might not work from the start. Okay, I will add all the names and then I will return. All right, so now we have done all the work. Yeah, let's add our code and let's see if it's working, because we have a lot of GSAP code here that might interfere, and then we have to adjust. All right, so look at this code here, all this code. This is insane. All right, so I'm gonna stick it in here. Actually, you know what? I have to add another container. I miscounted, so just one more name and voila. Okay, that is good. Let's go back to our code. So I am going to just bring in the code, and I'm going to go over it a little bit to tell you where you should change, what you should change. So one second, because I don't have to copy everything here. So we're adding this. We also have to add some CSS, so keep that in mind. So script for the split text right here. This it's not needed anymore. Now let me just do this, publish, and I'm going to add in the CSS, and you will see that things will already change. So I'm gonna go in, oops, in, where is it? The parent container, yeah? The one that we have just created at the beginning. Let me just close everything. So I'm gonna go in the parent container right here, go to advanced and go to custom CSS and drop it right there. And it's looking like this, okay? Let's publish and let's see how it looks on the front end. So fingers crossed that this is going to work. Let's do it again. So blah, blah, blah. Okay, this is good and fine. Right, okay. Okay. So there's something that is wrong here. Let's see what is going on.
5 hours later.
All right, if I tell you that this took forever to debug, it's not a lie. So what I have noticed, and I've actually noticed that on the test that I made or on the original feature, is that depending on the font that you are using, you need to adjust the height basically of the font, and obviously now it makes sense, the height of the container in which all these headings are in, not individually but the parent container in. Yeah, let me just show you. So this is what I mean, okay? So we are in the profile names, yeah? And this is what I mean. If you go to the code, to the CSS, this is where you will find that. So profile names here, yeah? It's 13 rem height. You can do this natively if you want in Elementor, but I prefer to have more control over in the CSS, but whatever works for you. And then name H2 is 15 rem. So let me just delete this because this is not needed. So you have to play around. It's going to be very annoying because you have to adjust this individually. So yeah, not easy, guys, not easy, but we did it. So let me show you the final result. And this will not be a feature for the mobile because obviously this is a hover state effect. So, you know, it doesn't make sense. So this will be your usual casual just stacking of elements. Yeah, so it's going to be the image of the team member and their name. So John, Sam, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And depends on the font, it's going to look better if it's a thicker font. But yeah, I think this works. So you could also make it wider if you want. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. So let's go back to Elementor, and as you can see, our recent work is here. You can see it. You can actually access it right from here. Yeah. If you want to edit this page, if you want to edit this page, you have this option from here. Okay. So you can also see this subscription usage from here. Let me just have a look because I've never done that. All right. So storage. Yeah, we don't have much. There's not barely anything on the website, but we have 10 gigabyte of storage, 10 gigabyte bandwidth, and this license is for one website, as I said in the beginning of the video. Yeah, so this is the information that you get. Also, you can add members here. So I've never done that before. Maybe if I put my other email, no, actually this is the email, or let me think. Yeah, I'm gonna add this email at studioegli.com, and I'm gonna send an invite, and let's see, done. Cool. So you can resend it if the team member does not accept it. So let's see if it arrived. Not yet. Oh yes. Okay, I'm not gonna show you my email, but I'm gonna accept the invitation. All right, so I think I can refresh this, and voila, I have accepted. I've gone through a few steps. It's not very difficult, but I didn't want to show you with my other account because it's a little bit, you know, personal. So yeah, there you have it. There you go. I will have the code in the description below as always. So I think we are almost done with this video. Also, initially, I thought that because of all the code that we have in here, as you can see, there's a lot of code. So I tried to debug it by commenting out each code basically and leaving the code that we wrote today only to see if that was the issue, but actually it wasn't. So yeah, this is the trade-off. As I said, you have to work anyway. So I wanted to just touch upon this code a little bit. As you can see here, we have the H2. So remember when I said at the beginning, if you watched all the video, that this is where you can change the HTML tag for the heading. You change it here, so you can change it with whatever you want. But what you have to keep in mind is that the CSS is riddled with H2s. So 1, 2, 3, 3 spaces actually, not that much. Right? So 1, 2, 3, and that's it. So you have to change it there as well. Yeah. Anyway, as I said, keep in mind that you have to play around with the height and with the font size. If you see that it's not working properly, if the text does not appear properly on the feature, yeah, so that's it. Let's get into it and let's see the effect of today. All right, let me know in the comments below, first of all, if the audio is not working very well today, because I'm trying a few things. Anyway, so I am in the backend of my Elementor host account and I want to get a domain because it's about time. We're at the end of the project and we need to get this website online. So I don't have a domain, but if you have a domain, you can connect your domain right here, as you see here. Yeah. If you don't have one, you can redeem one for free from Hover. Hover is a partner of Elementor and it's free for 1 year. After that, you have to pay. Just keep that in mind. So I'm going to go and redeem one. So I am thinking what to get. This landing page we are building is for interior design business. So it needs to have that in the domain name, I would think. So I'm saying we're going to call it Studio Nia Interior Design. It's a little bit too complicated, but it might give us the option of actually getting the .com, which I want. So, all right. So the .com, oh, it's free. Studio Nia Interior Design.com. Yes, it's a long domain name, but at least we got the .com, which is, you know, it's very important. All right, so let's proceed with this one. I'm going to add it to my cart. Yes. And as you can see, we are actually saving about $19. Let's proceed. At the minimum, okay. Get a free, giving away a free site domain for the first year when you register the matching domain. Okay, so what does that mean? So you can add other items to your bundle. You can get an email option, forward, small mailbox, big mailbox, but keep in mind that this is free for 1 year. After that, you have to pay. Okay, so I assume that this is the price. So I'm just going to proceed. This is important to have, yeah, if you care about privacy, and I would say get it. And yeah, we are getting the site as well for 1 year. Okay, let's secure the checkout and I'm gonna go through the process and I will come back. Okay, I don't want to show details of my billing info. All right, so we have completed this step. Okay, so we can go select the domain that we want and I'm going to select this one. All right, cool. I'm going to go back to Elementor and we're going to get to this part once Hover has done, setting up the domain. For now, let's go back to Elementor and create our effect. All right, so I'm going to go inside my WP admin and we can start working. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the landing page, and I already have the effect on the page because obviously I had to test it. I have tested it in isolation, just on a simple page to see how it works separately from all these GSAP snippets, and it works better in isolation. So this would be an effect that you would maybe want to add on a page where you don't really have too many things happening in terms of GSAP. Since we have here every effect on the page except for one section is a GSAP effect, yeah, it has a little bit of a flaw, and I will show you what. But first, let's see how it works, okay? So this is the page. If you scroll, yeah, we're scrolling, and okay. So this is the section of the landing page that doesn't have yet a GSAP effect. I'm gonna add something, but at the end, all right? And then we have our team, and hold on. This is a little bit sketchy, as you've seen. Yeah, we're getting here and it snaps right away. That is something that I don't like, but let's move on. We're scrolling, you were still scrolling, and it switched. That was nice, yeah, the effect is nice. And hold on, again, super nice, but we have this issue. I mean, you've seen how we just like snapped back in. Yeah, it does this. I mean, it's not the worst. It's not the worst. But if you know how to fix this, please leave the code in the description below. It works great separately. As I said, I will show you at the end of the video where the effect just works as it should. But here we have too many things happening in the code. Yeah, too many scroll triggers, timelines, and so on and so forth. And this is going to take a while for me to figure out. I am still working on it, but I didn't want to wait too long with this effect. I just wanted to give it to you and get on with it, okay? So I'm gonna start over, all right? So obviously I will keep this first container. This first container is just, it's here. This first container, I'm not gonna work it. Yeah, this is a normal container with a height of 200 VH. I think 200 VH works best. We can test this out to see if it's best to leave it at 100, but let's test it with 200 first, okay? And I will explain to you why. And I just simply added heading here. You can add whatever you want. You can add however much information you want. This is just a filler, okay? So this has the class of intro, okay? You can add whatever you want, but in the code, you will have to look for it to replace it, and it's a lot of code, all right? Just saying, you might as well just leave it with this class. And as I said, we have the heading inside. This is nothing exceptional, okay? Now, the part that is more complicated is this. So I am going to rebuild this right here on top, yeah? So we're gonna start with the first container. So if I will look at the other screen, just know that I'm looking at my other example because I don't want to scroll here up and down and confuse you, okay? So I'm looking at the example that I built in isolation because that example is pretty good. Okay, so we start with a container. I'm just going to drag it in here and set this to be full width and set the height to be 100 VH as well. And I am going to set the direction horizontal. We also have quite a lot of CSS. Some of these elements have CSS on them, hard coded basically, or native Elementor styles. Okay, so we're gonna add a class on this. Most of these containers have classes, and most of the containers, actually all of the containers, have a purpose. So if we're using too many containers, just know that they have a purpose, and it's not just, because I have nothing better to do. All right, so we are going to be adding another container in here. At the beginning, we're gonna have a few containers, yeah, so don't get exasperated by this. Set this to be full width, And I'm not going to do anything else but add a class to it. Oops, not there. I'm going to add a class. All right. So as you see, some of these elements are already taking some effects in terms of CSS because we have the CSS on the page. So don't mind that, okay? It is fine. What I wanted to do actually, let me go to the first container, the parent container, go to layout and set this to be an HTML tag of section, okay? So in this container, we are going to be adding another container. Shocker, I know. And this container will have a class of this, okay? So I want to do something here. So I'm gonna rename this and I'm gonna say col 1 because we're gonna have 4 columns and I don't want to get, messy here. So inside of this container, we're gonna add another container, and this container will have the class of col content, okay? Another container here, and this container will have the class of this class, okay? And yeah. And we're done with the containers here. We're gonna add 2 headings. One is an H2 and one is going to be a P. So H2, now it depends on what you have on your page. Yes, you could also have an H4 or an H3 if you want, but this is very important to change it in the code as well because we have it in the code. Just saying. All right, so I'm gonna grab my text and drop it in here, and I'm gonna duplicate this and I'm gonna turn it into a P, okay? And the container that is holding these headings is going to have a direction of column vertical. I'm gonna publish this, and we are now ready to add another column, which is column 4. And the column 4 is going to have a different structure, okay? It's going to have images in here. So I'm gonna go to the parent container and go and add a container, obviously. And this container will have a height of 100 VH, and of course it's going to be full width. Let me just rename it as well, col2. And col2 is going to have as well a class. So I'm gonna go to advanced and I'm gonna drop it in here. And as you can see, the CSS has taken effect. I'm going to show you the CSS and where to add it at the end. So let me see something here. Col1, I forgot col1 has to have a height as well. Silly me. So go back to col1 and say col minimum height 100 VH. I'm going to publish this, and this is what we have so far, okay? Okay, so I'm going to go to col2, and here we are going to have a container, shocker again, I know, and this is going to have class of this one, and we are going to be adding another container in here which will hold our image finally. So that container is going to be the wrapper for our image, okay? I hope I'm not messing things around here. There's so many classes, so I'm gonna drop an image widget in here, and the image does not have a class, which is good because we were going hard on classes. Okay, I'm gonna add this image, and I suggest that all images should have the same size. Otherwise, the effect is going to look a little bit weird. Okay. So what we can do now, I would say to duplicate this container. Actually, I could do that, but then it's going to create some confusion. So I'm going to create a new one. So in col2, yeah, let me just publish first. We are going to be adding another container right in here, yeah. And this container will have only one container plus the image. So let me just add the class on it. I hope we don't have to debug anything because of me messing the classes. Yeah, these are many classes. And inside here, we're going to add another container. I know, bear with me, it's going to be a cool effect. And this is going to be the wrapper for the image as well. And inside this, we're going to add an image. Yeah, and let's change the image to, as I said, it needs to be the same size. These are not the same size. unfortunately. I'm gonna go with this one, okay? I hope they are the same size, at least a little bit. Okay, so that is that. Column 2, I think it's done. Let me just have a look at the classes. Actually, I want to see the classes on this second one. Yeah, that's correct. And that's correct. Then I think maybe this one. And yeah, this is something that you should do as well. If something's ever not working, try to debug by going through your code step by step and seeing what you maybe missed. Not your code necessarily, but you know what I mean, your layout, I would say. Anyway, seems like everything is okay. I'm going to add a third column, and this third column will have 2 containers with each having 2 headings. Yeah. All right, so let's get to it. I think I might be able to copy this. Yeah, I'm gonna duplicate this so we save time, but we have to be careful because we have to change the classes. I'm gonna duplicate, I'm gonna drag it right here, and first of all, what I'm gonna do is change the name so we don't get confused, okay? Then we open it and we move this container here, then delete this unnecessary container, and let's go to the main container. Okay, so I have to change the class on this one, and the class is going to be this. Yeah, and yes, okay, that is good. Then what else we have to do is basically add, let's see, class we have here. Okay, this is fine, it's the same. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the headings the same, it doesn't matter. You can replace it with whatever you want. And we're good. And we just have to duplicate this container here. I hope you're following. I know it's a little bit messy-ish, but it will be fine. And this second container actually has a different class, okay? Boom. And I'm gonna publish this, and next is going to be column 4. And this is the last column, okay? So I'm gonna, let me see, column 4. Column 4 has only one image, yeah? So let's see what we have here. I think column 2 could be something that we could work. So I'm gonna duplicate column 2. I mean, obviously you could just create this from the beginning, but I'm trying to make my life easier. Sometimes I make it more difficult, I have to say, yes. But you know, you just have to keep your focus on. All right, so let's see the structure here. So we are going to delete one container, and we just leave this, okay? So column 4 needs a different class. Obviously, it's going to be column 4, yeah, instead of column 2. All right, that is that. Then next step is the next container, and we're gonna add this class on it. I think something is messed, but let's carry on. Then we have the next container. Let's see if it's the same. I think, yeah, it's the same class. And then we have the image, and let's replace the image so we know what we have going on. I'm gonna publish, and whew, I hope we are good. Maybe we're not. I think there's something wrong with classes here, but the next step is to actually add our GSAP, and it's a lot, yeah? So let's see what we have here. This is all the code that we have from our previous effects, yeah? Yeah, this is a lot. So basically this part here is the code that corresponds to our effect today. So first of all, and when I said that you have to replace the H2 or whatever H you have to replace it here, okay? And that's the only place where you have to do that. Other than that, I would not recommend changing any of these classes because it gets messy fast, all right? Just saying, otherwise things will not work. So I'm gonna publish this. I am going to go to my main container, and I am going to go to advanced, and I'm gonna add my custom CSS. So the container that has this class, okay? Go to custom CSS and drop your, let me just delete this because this is not needed. This neither, this is something that we already did natively in Elementor. Okay, so I'm gonna publish and let's have a look. Hopefully things are working and they're working okay. So let's see. All right, so far so good. Yes, yes. Okay, this is not part of it yet. Yeah. All right. And yeah. Okay, so you saw, right, the issue. So what I want to do, because this container does not have a background color right now, I want to give it a background color. So I'm going to go to style and go to change it to orange, publish. I'm not going to style this right now. I'm going to leave this styling for the last part of the video. Okay. All right. Let's see what we did so far. I think there's another container that I have to set the color for the background so you can see it better. Okay, and it looks better. Yeah, we're still scrolling. We're scrolling. The issue here is, as you see, the images don't have the same size. So this is what I meant. We have to choose an image that is basically the same size. And I will do that in a bit, but let me just continue scrolling here. All right, so this is the other container that needs to have a background. So I think it's this one. Let's see. It's a little bit difficult to tell from here, from the backend, because, you know, GSAP JavaScript does not render in the editor. So then you have to do a lot of back and forth, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right. Okay, that was a bit sudden, but you know. All right. Oh, so we colored the wrong container. Okay, so it's not that one. It's confusing now. Could it be this one? It's the one with text. All right. Let's see. Okay. Yes. Okay. We did it right. Okay, this is the old one. Okay, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna copy the effects of the example, paste style, because it's looking really good. And we have another one here. Okay, let's try again. It was a lot of back and forth. I'm telling you, I tried to debug it. It took forever. The effect is still really good. I enjoy it. I like it a lot, and it has a lot of potential. Okay, we have another heading here, but you know, it needs some love. Okay, so we did that. What I want is actually to change the image that is not that good. So it's not that one. I think it's this one. Yeah. So I'm gonna change it with maybe this one. Yeah, I'm gonna go with this one. I don't know. Anyway, the idea is that you have to make sure that the images are the same size. Otherwise, it's gonna create that not nice effect, you know. It's actually taking away from the effect. All right. Okay, let's see. Cool, that's fine. Oh, I didn't change it. That's funny. Oh, I didn't publish. All right, so let's go and see. Boom, boom. Okay, again, we have the same issue. All right, let me try something else. So instead of this one, I'm gonna replace it with this one. And this one is basically more or less the same. Let's see. Again, as I said, it's just something that you need to, you know, figure out, make sure that the images are the same size. Okay, cool. Yeah. Anyway, let's just say that the images don't match, don't align. So I want to show you actually the one that I have created in isolation. Okay, so here we are. I'm going to refresh the page. So this is the intro. Then you see that we don't have that jump because there's nothing else, no other timeline on the page. Yeah, and then as you can see, it's fine. Yeah, again, it's fine. So that goes to show that there's something going on in our code there that needs to be revised. And I will have a look for the next session where I'm going to be beautifying this page, and I'm going to try to make everything work properly. Yeah, and I will tell you which ones I could not make really function as it should, but yeah, I will leave the code for the effect that I have created in isolation, because that is 100% working. Yeah, also this one works, but it has some issues. Also, the containers are not really rounded the same. I still have to look in the code to see what's going on. But since there is so much code, as you've seen, it's going to take some time, okay? So I'm thinking that probably next week we're gonna have the last video. I'm still debating, depending on where I'm with this, unless we make another 2 videos. I don't know yet, we'll see. So yeah, I think this is a cool effect, and it's again adding some interest to the page. But you tell me if you enjoy it or not. And yeah, as I said, I will leave the code in the description below for the code for the effect in isolation, and I will also show you next time how it went with the new domain that we have purchased. All right, so we are in Elementor hosting, okay, and I am going to grab the link of my website, and don't mind the name here, we can rename it, or this is not important right now. But I'm gonna go to Page Speed Insights, and I'm gonna just drop it in here, okay? And this is going to analyze it. So if you're new to this, just use Page Speed Insights to test your website to see how your website performs, okay? I will leave links to other such tools so you can test them in parallel to see, you know, differences, because some tools have additional insights that they offer, but all in all, they all do the same thing. So what you see right now, it's the mobile, okay? So this website has zero responsive design. There's nothing done for it to be responsive, and we have so many containers on the website. Yeah, we will optimize this, but we needed to just build fast, and you know, we're gonna trim the fat at the end. But obviously the main issue is because the website is not optimized. But keeping that in mind, look at the performance. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, I would say. So let's just go a little bit to see what is going on here. Yeah, okay, there are some things that we need to look over, you know, once we get to optimization, but this is, I think, pretty okay, considering, as I said, that the website has not been optimized for mobile at all. Zero optimization for mobile. Now let's see the desktop. Again, also here, we are kind of like okay-ish, but not really. We have a lot of divs, a lot of containers, basically. We can make it faster, but keeping in mind that we did absolutely nothing to make it better. Yeah, again, it's not Elementor that has issues with the speed, is your hosting. And I recommend either getting Elementor if you want, or looking into other hosting providers if you know you want a different hosting provider. But I'm just showing you what it means to have good hosting, period. Okay, now on to our menu. Okay, so let me show you what we are going to be building. So let me just refresh this page. And as you can see, we have the menu here, and I'm clicking on it. Yeah, and it comes in and goes. And I'm clicking again, and you can add more items here if you want, but I just didn't want to add too much, because the point of this is to just build it to make it functional. We're gonna beautify it, you know, at a later stage, towards the end, as we said. Right, so I think this is pretty cool, and I will show you how I build it. It's a little bit unconventional in a sense, okay? So I build it in the theme builder. Yeah, if you go to the theme builder, you will be prompted to all these body parts of your or for your website. So you have the header, you have the footer. I'm talking to people who are sort of new to Elementor. Okay, so this is where you build your header and your footer first of all. So we're building the header. Okay, so you see I already have a header here. I'm not gonna build it. I'm just going to go over the elements that I added, because it's a lot, okay? And it might take a long time to go over this if I start building it, but it's going to be very easy to follow, okay? So I'm gonna go to edit it, and I will show you what is the unconventional thing that I did, okay? So I added the code here because for whatever reason, normally you would add, if this is to be added, if this element, the header, is to be used on the whole website, it makes sense to add it to the Elementor custom code. Yeah, create a custom code snippet here and set it to the entire site. But what ended up happening was that this effect here was not working anymore. I cannot explain why, because there's so much code at this point, and it has nothing to do with the code that we actually have on the website itself. The GSAP code that I added could be something that is has to do with either Elementor or WordPress or both. So there's no way I can troubleshoot that. Everything else works as it should, yeah, as it worked in the past, yeah, absolutely fine. Even this works, yeah, except for that part. And it was a little bit disappointing, I would say, but you know, it is what it is. So I'm just telling you that this is the solution. Yeah, don't put your code in here. Have the code added to the theme builder where you have the structure for your menu. Okay, so I'm just gonna close the code. We're gonna go over that after, okay, because it's a little bit to explain there. So I am going to start with the structure of our navbar. Okay, so I am just going to open one by one so it doesn't get overwhelming, because there are a lot of containers here, and I know we're not supposed to use too many containers, but they have a purpose. Okay, I will look into trying to remove some of them to see if the effect works without some of them, but probably not. We'll see if that is feasible. Okay, so let's go and click on the parent container. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm just gonna remove this, it's unnecessary. It is a simple container, yeah, it's a full width container. There's nothing extraordinary here. I did not set any other I did not do anything other than set the additional options, the HTML tag to a nav. This is very important for SEO. As you know, it's better to have it there than not have it there. Okay, so then at style we have nothing, because we're doing some styling in general with CSS. And then if you go to advanced, I set this to be Z index 9999. So if you don't know what Z index is, it means that is basically on top of everything that it is on your website. So this is your website, but if you turn the website like this, let's say flat, you will see that there are layers of elements on your website, yeah, and most of them, they are at the same level. Okay, basically stacked, yeah, but this one is on top of everything, yeah, so it's basically somewhere here, but you don't see it because your website is like this. I know this is too much to explain, but I know some people ask me and I wanted to address this, you know, what Z index is. I've seen that comment in under other videos, so just covering the basis. And then I set a margin of 50. This depends on your, you know, how you want to set up your navbar, but you can add more, you can add less, you can add 0. Up to you. Okay, so if we go to CSS, you will see that I have added all the CSS here. Let me just clean up. So all the CSS that is styling the navbar is added in here, right? So let me just clean this up. So all the CSS that I have added to style the navbar is right here. Okay, just so we're clear, this is where you're gonna find it. Okay, so let's go to the next one. We have two main containers in this navbar. Okay, so the container has a full width and then a height of 18. This you can play around, this is not set in stone. The direction is horizontal, because otherwise we will have the elements stacked and you don't want that. And that's about it here. In terms of styling, we have no styling. And if you go to advanced, you will see that I have added a class here. So the majority of these containers, except for the parent container, they have classes. And these classes are represented in the code. So if you change these classes to your own, you will have to look for the equivalent in the code. So menu bar, go to the menu bar, to the code and look for the menu bar and replace it there with the class that you have replaced this with, just so we're clear in case your code doesn't work anymore. Okay, this might be the problem. As you click on this container, this is the container that is holding our logo. Okay, so the logo is just your usual native Elementor widget. So if you go to layout, you will see the layout of this container is with full width 100%, yeah, and nothing else. And as I said, this is an Elementor widget, yeah. If you look for it, you will see that it looks like that, yeah. So you can just simply add it to this container. All right, so I'm gonna close this container and I'm gonna open the next one. If I click on the container, yeah, it's going to show you that the layout has a width of 100%. And if I go to advanced, you will see that the class is set again on here. All right. And the next container has not the same class, but it has a class as well. And if I go to layout, this is the difference between the previous one and this one. The direction of the items in the container are set to horizontal, and the content is justified, and the items are aligned at the center. Okay, so keep that in mind. This is the CSS class on it. And then we have added a heading in here, yeah. And if I go to content, you will see that you can change the title of this content to whatever you want. You have here the possibility to change the HTML tag, but you will have to change it in the code, in the GSAP code as well, because this is connected to the toggle button. So when you toggle the button, you will see that the menu disappears, yeah. So this is interconnected. Keep that in mind. And then if you go to advanced, there's nothing here in terms of classes, but if you go to style, you are able to style this menu however you want, normally as normal as you would do it in Elementor. Okay, then if you go to the next container, I know so many containers, we don't have a width set to this one, but the direction is set to vertical. Okay, and if you go to style, we have no styling. And if you go to advanced, we have a CSS class here. And then finally, inside this container, we have an HTML widget. I had to add this because I needed to add two basically lines that are vertical, yeah. And I have created this with spans. So if you go to the menu, you will see these two lines. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about lines. Okay, so this is how they were created, and they were styled with CSS, not inside here in natively in Elementor, but with custom CSS. And I will show you where to change the colors. Right now they are in red, so you can see it better, but you can change it whatever color you want. Okay, and finally we have this container. Okay, and in this container represents the basically the overlay. So it's the actual menu. The menu. This part. This is the menu that comes over. Yeah. So you will see that this container has a width of 100%. The content is justified center, and items are aligned center. And of course, we have here a class. So if I go to the next item in this container, of course, it's another container with a class on it. And if I go to layout, you will see that the content has been directioned horizontal, and the width is 50%. Now let's click on this container and open it, and you will see that we have the image. So basically this is the image and the container that we have. Ooh, okay, no idea what this is. That was interesting. And then we have as I said, the image. And let's open this. So as you see, the container is set to have a width of 50%. Yeah, because it represents 50% of the parent container. And if you go to advanced, you will see that there's a class on it. And if you go to image, of course, you can set this image however you want. I didn't do anything. I just wanted to add it, that's it. But we're gonna style it, okay? And there's no class on it, okay? Now let's open this container, and this container is the container that is holding our menu, okay? So what we have here, again, we set this to be 50% as with the other container with the image. The direction of the items is horizontal, and we align them all at start. And if you go to advanced, you will see that this one has a class as well. And then clicking on the next item, is going to open one more container with the menu. Okay, so in this case, this container is as well 100% width, direction horizontal, justify content start, and align items center. And of course, we have a class here as well. And then the final container here has a width of 100%, a height of 46, of course, let's just make it 45, direction horizontal, and content justifications space evenly. Okay. But of course, this depends, most of these settings depend on how you want to and what you want to add to your containers. Maybe you don't want an image here, maybe you want something else. So yeah, depends. And if you go to advanced, you will see that we have a class, of course. And let's go to the WordPress menu. Yeah, so I have created a menu in my backend. So these are the items in my menu, and I have given it a name. So you will have to choose it from here, whatever menu you want to add. Yeah. So we are using basically the Elementor WordPress widget, which makes things so much easier because it's native. Yeah. We set the layout to be vertical because we want the items to be vertical, yeah, and align items start as well, and then breakpoint, no breakpoint, we don't want this to break at any point, and that's it. Yeah, there's no, I mean, you can add some styling. I added vertical padding 10 pixels, basically the space between the items, and the text color, and a little bit the typography. But that is, again, I'm not going to go over that because that's something that you can change yourself and make it your own, you know, to match the website that you're creating. So I think it's time to go to our CSS. Yeah, so the CSS is in the parent container, and I'm gonna go all the way from the advanced tab to custom CSS, and as you can see, is quite a lot. But what we're gonna focus right now is going to be to change the color of the toggle button and the background of the overlay and the background of the menu. So let me just refresh so you can see. So this is black. Okay, I'm gonna, yeah, okay, you see it's blue, this is red, so we're gonna change it to match our website. Okay, so we are looking for the menu hamburger icon, yeah, which is that, and then the menu hamburger icon span. Remember, we talked about the spans that are in the HTML widget, and then we have here the overlay, yeah, which is blue. And then so let's change the, first of all, let's change the background of the span, and let's say gray, yeah, so it matches our website, the text and everything else. The icon, basically this is the border, as it says here, the property, so I'm gonna set this to gray as well. So it changed already. Let's see, refresh, and boom, voila. Yeah, but that's the only thing that we changed right now. We need to change the overlay as well. So I'm gonna go to overlay and I'm gonna change it to black. Yeah, and if there's something that you want to change and you don't understand, and I'm not gonna go over this because it's a lot to explain. Oops, let me just refresh. You can input this code, the CSS code, into, as you see, it's working, into ChatGPT and ask it to explain to you. So it's working pretty good. Yeah. We would need to change the background here of the menu as well, but I'm not going to go over that right now. We're going to beautify this at a later stage. Okay, so that is it pretty much. If you go to the GSAP code, it's quite a lot. Yeah, if you have any questions, please ask. I'm not going to go over it because that would be very technical. I think it turned out pretty okay. We still need to work on it. It's going to be responsive. It is to some extent responsive because we worked with containers and the elements are responsive, but I have not really tested on mobile. Yeah, I think it's great. So next on the list is making the whole page responsive and adding a footer. So now I will see if I will make the footer to be something with GSAP, something amazing, or we're gonna just add, I'm just gonna add the footer to the landing page, and I'm not gonna make a video about it, but I will make a video making it responsive and making the website basically responsive and making it more organized than it is right now. Because so far we just experimented with things. Yeah. Now it's the time to make it actually presentable. So,
all right. So let's go first back in our Elementor. As you remember, we're building this on the hosting, on Elementor hosting. So I want to go inside the dashboard and let's have a quick look here to see what we have. I want to check the backups because they're supposed to be doing backups every day. Yeah. So let's see. So backups happen at the time that I requested, I think. Let me just go back to, let's go to manage backup time, afternoon. Okay. That is, this is my local time. Okay. So I need to select my time zone. So this is my time zone. Okay. Wait, we're changing it. Anyway, so from now on, it will happen according to my time zone. Anyway, so I think we're good here. Yeah. And as you can see, we have backups up to from 12th of August. So if you have had issues with the website, with a hosting website, then you can go and backup, or you can get a download link to your email, and you have more actions here where you can rename it or delete it. Okay. All right. So this is an overview. We have not connected yet a GSAP domain. I tried to do that the other time, 2 times or 3 times ago, but there was a little error. I have to redo this, but I'm not going to do it on camera. You've seen how this goes, so it's very easy. Let's go into our project, okay? So I am going to go in the backend of my website and I'm going to access the theme builder here because we're going to be building the footer. Okay, as you can see, I already have the footer, so I'm gonna just go over it to show you what I did. Okay, let me go to edit and you will see I actually have imported a template from Elementor, okay, because I didn't want to waste any time. There are plenty of templates that you can add footers from, and then you can actually customize them however you want. I think that speeds up your process, and you don't waste time, especially if you want to move fast and do like a couple of iterations to see what works and what doesn't work. So as you can see, we have the name of my studio, my agency. Yeah, it looks like it's not fitting in here, but it does fit. So I have chosen, we've seen this on many websites, and I actually have here a website that I will share in the description below. Wait, it's the design. I have discovered this some years ago when I was more active on Twitter. And you can see that you can get any footer style you want. So let's go to animated, okay? So this is kind of a standard by now, where you have a big font, big text of the logo, the name of the website, of the business. As you can see, yeah, it's nothing unique, but it's about the how you execute it, okay? So if I go to this one, let's say, yeah, let's see how this works. Okay, so this is actually the homepage. Let's see the footer, probably is the same or similar. Yeah, it doesn't have any effect except for this effect. I actually wanted to do something similar, but there was no time. So I think this is pretty cool. It gives the website such a unique vibe, and it makes it more expensive, in my opinion. Yeah. And for example, I have not checked this one, so I'm gonna go and have a look. There are so many examples that you can take from here, from this website, and they add the best of the best. And it is run by a group of designers with many years experience. Oh, did you see that? With many years of experience. Yeah. I think they're from the Netherlands, and people from the Netherlands are really good at design. Let's have another look. Let me just scroll slower a bit. How cool is this, right? Anyway, I'm not gonna go through everything here because we would be on this website for some time. I just want to check this one, okay, because it has kind of the vibe of our website. And okay, super nice, super nice. Oh, this is super nice. Okay, cool. This is fully GSAP. Oh, I love it. I had the impression that I don't like these websites anymore, but by now I still like them. There's something about a good GSAP design. Oh, this is a lot. Where are we? Okay, so this is how it comes. Yeah, I do like it. I think it's pretty good. It's very interesting, right? And it's like a crazy design or anything like that. Just a small, ooh, that was smooth. Maybe we can make something like this. Okay, so I'm full of ideas now. Anyway, let's go back to our design, okay? So let me just open this. And I'm not going to go over this part where the actual footer is. I'm just going to go to our container here where I have the heading. So I actually added the heading because if you add an image or an SVG, for example, it's not going to work, okay? Because it needs to be, to have characters, unless you want it just to be reveal, not really a stagger. So just like the text comes out, that can be done as well. But I don't know. In this case, I think it's good to stick with the heading, and you can also add a link to it. You go here to layout, additional options, and you navigate to HTML tag and go and choose the link. Yeah, so you can add for example, the link to your site URL. Yeah, so basically that's exactly what it is. The logo icon, that's where it's going to lead. Anyway, so let's not focus on that. Let me show you our code here. So I put the code in an HTML widget, obviously, and it is right at the end, okay? Always at the end. So there's not much to explain really here. The only thing that you could change, or if you want to change, are the staggered, the duration, the ease, basically the animation of how this comes out, and that's it. So we have this footer heading class, okay? This is a must to be added to our heading, okay? Because this is what will trigger the animation. Once you reach the heading, that's when the animation starts, because we have this class. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Just in case it doesn't work, just know that that is the reason, okay? And I will also remove this, but I want you to see them as I demonstrate on the front end, okay? And as you can see, we have here the heading class as well. Make sure that if you change it here, and also change it in your heading widget class. All right, so let me just open this a little bit. As you can see, we have the CDNs for the split text, which is a GSAP, as you see here, a GSAP plugin. So we're trying to use every GSAP plugin that we have available by now from GSAP because it's free and we can use them. So we don't have to try different packages to try to make them work with GSAP, okay? Anyway, a lot of talk. Let's go to the landing page. So I'm just gonna go here and I'm gonna refresh it. There are some things that there's actually one of the effects, it's not really working anymore for whatever reason, I don't know, and I'll show you which one. So this is basically also a recap of what we have so far. Yeah, okay, everything works so far, everything is good. I also want to add some sort of scroll animation to this image because it's very big, and by the time you scroll over, it's like it's too much. So I want to have it, I don't know, but I'm not going to show that necessarily on another video because that would be like stretching this video too long, this video series, and I'm sure you're bored by now. Anyway, so I'm gonna continue scrolling. This works as well. Yeah. And this is the one that doesn't work anymore. And I cannot understand why. I cannot. It might be something just hit me. I will try to fix it off camera in a bit, and then I will come back. But in the meantime, let's continue. Let's continue. Okay, this came in very fast. All right. Okay, we still need to make some changes here because, yeah. Anyway, not perfect. Voila. But we are having some issues here. All right, that works. Okay, that works. Interesting. All right, so let's scroll, and voila. And I think this is, it keeps the website unique as well as still interactive until the very end. And it's just nice, you know? It's just like that little thing that you add to a website. If you want to change the timing of this interaction, we can start the interaction basically from here, amend it. And let me just go back. So these are the markers that I was talking about. You see one here, yeah, it's this one green, yeah, start, and it ends here, yeah. Let me just go back to my start point. So I could change this to 50, okay. Let's see what happens and where the marker is. And keep in mind that these markers can be deleted from here, okay. You just simply go delete fully. So let's refresh. So as you can see, the scroll start is here instead of here at the bottom. So it's in the middle of our page viewport, yeah. So let me just scroll. So start and boom. I think it's a little bit better. I'm not sure yet, but you can experiment with this, okay? As you see, every time I scroll to the footer and back reverse, the animation takes place. You could also have this basically turned off and just have it happen once. And I will have the code for both. So what I will do, I will remove this, basically do this, yeah, it's removed. You're not gonna see it on the front end. And basically just remove this as well and activate this one, okay? And it says once true, and it will happen only once. If you scroll past it, back, reverse, it will not trigger anymore the effect. This is pretty good if you don't like this, yeah? Some effects should not happen every single time the page is scrolled, yeah? So that's one time. Let's see if it works. And as you see, we don't have the markers anymore. So let me just scroll, boom, it's done. So you have choices. And that's about it. Next time, we are going to have this done responsively. It's going to be, as I said, probably quite a long video, but some portions of it will be explainers, maybe a little bit more. Some of them will be fast forwarded. So, you know, the boring stuff, just fast forwarded. But kind of, I want to show you some of my process, I guess, because we all do things differently. And I think it's nice to see behind the scenes of optimizing a website, I guess. Anyway, so that's the video for today. I will have the code in the description below. Of course, this you can use separately on any website you want. You can add it whatever you want. But keep in mind that this has been optimized to work at the bottom of the page, okay? You might have to work it if you don't know how to code or you don't understand this. You can ask ChatGPT. Be very precise about in your prompt. Be very precise about what you want to achieve with it, yeah? And it's going to give you a start as we have now. Basically, we have this start, yeah? And it's going to give you an end as well. So you might also mention this to ChatGPT. I want to add this in the middle of the page or whatever. Please give me the start and the end of this animation. you know, whatever. Anyway, I hope this was useful. I think it is useful because I see this effect still going strong. It has been around for like the last 2-3 years. And I think it's not too much, not too little. It's just the perfect amount of spice to any footer. So no boring footers. Now I'll add the footer inspiration website in the description below because I think that is pretty cool. And footers, you know, they're so kind of difficult to design, you know. So